14th, Donald Trump taking on new allegations, slamming Hillary Clinton and the media while making some accusations of his own.
These vicious claims about me are totally and absolutely false. And the Clintons know it, and they know it very well.
Plus, brand new Fox News polls. We are live in Washington.
And WikiLeaks is at it again. Now we know just how much Hillary Clinton's campaign worried about her talking to the press and how much she hates saying sorry.
And a serial kidnapper caught on surveillance camera. The massive manhunt to find the man targeting children. Fox and Friends First starts right now.
Love it when we hear this song because it means it's Friday. It means the weekend is here. We say Friday is the weekend.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
First, you're joining us this Friday morning. Good to be here. I'm Abby Huntsman.
And I'm Heather Childers. Thank you so much for starting your day and your weekend with us. We do begin with the race for the White House. Outright lies. Donald Trump railing against the New York Times, blaming the Clintons and the media for fabricating stories.
But with just 25 days now until the election, could the damage already be done? Garrett Tenney is live for us in Washington with brand new Fox News polls out late last night. Garrett, good morning.
Heather and Abby, good morning. And these polls are particularly important because they are the first that we've had done following the second presidential debate. And there are not a lot of bright spots here for Donald Trump. In a four-way race nationally, Hillary Clinton gains a point from where she was just a week ago. But she extends her lead over Donald Trump to 7 points. A week ago, she was ahead by only 2. This poll is the latest indication the Trump campaign is reeling from the string of sexual harassment accusations that have come out against the candidate. Yesterday in West Palm Beach, Florida, Donald Trump took those accusations head on and spent nearly half of his hour-long speech laying into the media for backing Hillary Clinton and slamming his 4 accusers as horrible, horrible liars.
These vicious claims about me of inappropriate conduct with women are totally and absolutely false. The Clintons know it, and they know it very well. We already have substantial evidence to dispute these lies, and it will be made public in an appropriate way and at an appropriate time very soon.
Yesterday, we reported how the Trump campaign was threatening to file a lawsuit against the New York Times for its story on 2 of the women accusing Trump of touching them inappropriately. Well, now lawyers for the Times have responded with a letter to the Trump campaign, saying in part, the essence of a libel claim, of course, is the protection of one's reputation. Nothing in our article has had the slightest effect on the reputation that Mr. Trump, through his own words and actions, has already created for himself. Again, Donald Trump has indicated he has proof that all of the claims against him are false and that he will reveal them sometime soon, though with less than 25 days until the election, there's not a lot of time left to do that.
And now his wife Melania is fighting back to People magazine as well.
Yeah, I was on with John Scott yesterday. It really was remarkable, his entire speech. So let's get back to those Fox News polls. The women and independents, those are 2 critical groups in this election. How are the candidates polling on those 2 particular fronts?
Well, women is a particular group Donald Trump has struggled with, even going back to the primaries, and that continues to be the case, particularly after these accusations have come out. In the latest Fox News polls, Hillary Clinton has extended her lead among women to about 19 points here. Clinton 51%, Donald Trump 32%. A week ago, Donald Trump was at 38% with women. So you can see just since a lot of these accusations have come out, he's already lost 6 points there. Among independents, the other key group here in this election, which many folks have said will likely decide the election, it's a much better picture for Donald Trump. They are tied at 35% apiece, and going forward, that is going to be one of the key constituencies that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are going to be targeting.
Yeah, especially
25 days left.
In those swing states.
Absolutely.
Right. Garrett, good to see you this morning.
Thank you, Garrett.
Good to see y'all.
And WikiLeaks at it again, releasing nearly 2,000 more emails from inside Hillary Clinton's campaign.
And this time blowing the lid off internal rifts and Clinton's big issue with apologies.
Patricia Stark is in studio to break it all down. Patricia, another day, another WikiLeaks dump.
That's right. Good morning, Abby and Heather. The latest WikiLeaks email dump exposing Hillary Clinton's inner circle appears to show disturbing rifts between high-ranking Democrats. One email showing conflict between Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, and Clinton Foundation employee Sidney Blumenthal, who had controversial access to Clinton while she was Secretary of State. Podesta saying, quote, "Sid is lost in his own web of conspiracies. I pay zero attention to what he says." Podesta also appears to struggle with how Clinton should apologize for her private email server after an interview with NBC, fearing Clinton wouldn't be able to convince voters that she was sorry for mishandling our nation's secrets. Podesta saying last fall, quote, "Everyone wants her to apologize, and she should. Apologies are like her Achilles heel." But she didn't seem like a blank in the interview, and she said the word sorry. She will get to a full apology in a few interviews. Then later in the same thread, Podesta wrote, "Press takeaway was the whine of the but she really didn't apologize to the American people. I am beginning to think Trump is onto something." Well, these are just a few of the roughly 9,000 emails released by WikiLeaks just over the last week. The anti-piracy privacy group is promising a total of 50,000 by Election Day.
All right, Patricia Stark, thank you. We'll see what comes out next.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia.
Well, now it's time for a look at who is talking. And this morning, former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich is slamming the media.
Journalism, in the sense that you grew up with and I grew up with, has totally collapsed. And I think the New York Times candidly has been the leader in its collapse, because the New York Times at one time, even if it was left-wing with Castro and with Stalin in the 30s, it was nonetheless a place that had very serious reporting. The stuff they've been doing recently on Trump, some of it is an absurdity, and it gets blown up.
So let's keep talking about this. Do you agree with Gingrich? Is the media biased against Donald Trump? Email us and we will read your comments later in the show. Log on to the Fox and Friends First Facebook page right after the show for a live debate. Use this hashtag, keep talking.
Yep, want to hear from you. And as more of her emails come to light, Hillary Clinton says she, quote, does not recall ordering aides to wipe them off her private server. Judicial Watch releasing sworn testimony from the first time Clinton was ordered to answer questions under oath. The documents show Clinton, quote, didn't recall much of anything, using that excuse at least 21 times. They also show her legal team's objections to 18 of the 25 questions.
Now, listen to this story. There's an urgent manhunt underway right now for a cold and calculated serial kidnapper. Take a look. The man seen here in this surveillance video is accused of taking a 6-year-old girl near Cleveland and abusing her for 17 hours. Police now suspecting that he is the same man who crept into another home and tried to take a 10-year-old girl. That victim was able to fight him off. The FBI is offering a $20,000 reward for anyone who can help prevent this attack in the future and find this man.
Ooh. Also developing at this hour, tensions reaching a boiling point in the Red Sea as Iran deploys warships to the Yemeni coast, and the move coming less than a day after the U.S. fired Tomahawk missiles at targets in Yemen, retaliation for 2 failed attacks on a Navy destroyer. Iran claims 2 of their ships were moved to protect them from piracy, but a U.S. official tells Fox News one of those ships has missiles on board and the other has a helicopter. And the terrorist suspect accused of setting off bombs in New York and New Jersey facing a judge for the first time from his hospital bed through a video feed. Ahmad Rahimi pleading not guilty to charges that he tried to murder police officers before his capture. The Afghan native now being held on a $5.2 million bail.
And some chilling new details this morning about the heavily armed gunman who ambushed Boston police officers. Investigators identifying the shooter as this man, 33-year-old Kirk Figueroa, a Boston constable who actually helped serve warrants and make arrests. 2 officers are now clinging to life, each shot by Figueroa multiple times with an assault rifle following a domestic disturbance call. Fellow officers hailed as heroes for rushing in and pulling them out alive.
And And to weather now, Hurricane Nicole barrels through Bermuda, bringing 120-mile-an-hour winds and dangerous storm surges. The tiny island nation smaller than the eye of the Category 3 storm.
The hurricane knocking out power to 90% of the island at one point. And check out this incredible video. This is of the eye wall approaching the storm, now threatening to bring dangerous surf and rip currents to the U.S. coast.
Where flooding from Hurricane Matthew is still ravaging North Carolina. The death toll now climbing to 22. Janice Dean is tracking all of it for us. Janice, really sad what's going on even here at home.
Yeah. Right, absolutely. North Carolina really taking the brunt of Hurricane Matthew.
And you know that's where I'm from. And my aunt actually lives along the coast. So
how's she doing?
She's experiencing some damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking. And I mean, we're seeing damage like we haven't seen since Hurricane Sandy in these areas. So let's talk about Nicole as well. Nicole, Category 3 hurricane that hit Bermuda yesterday, in the eye of the storm actually going over the island. I saw a video of it where it was very quiet. The eye of the storm is actually the quietest part of the hurricane. So there it is right now, moving away from Bermuda, which is great news. Still a hurricane, though. This was a pretty formidable storm that moved across Bermuda. And taking a look at the forecast path, really not a big problem for the folks out in the Atlantic. Just a fish storm is what we like to call it. Now, we are watching the northwest because while it's not a hurricane, it could bring hurricane force winds for the northwest as well as northern California. A couple of storm systems. This is the time of year where we have these big storms move in from the Pacific and the potential for gusts of 80 mile per hour plus. I wouldn't be surprised to see 100 mile per hour winds as this next system moves through. So we have one that pushes in today, and then over the weekend, another one that's going to be a little bit more potent that's going to bring the potential for, again, hurricane force winds, a lot of flooding potential, as well as mountain snow. So as we get into the fall months, the winter months, we start to see these storm systems. And even though it's not labeled a hurricane, we could potentially see hurricane force winds. So high wind warnings are in effect, flood warnings, and we're also going to see some snow in the higher elevations. All right, Abby and Heather, back to you.
Snow.
I know, it's that time. Wow. We're already here. Thank you, Janice.
You got it.
The time is now about 11 minutes after the hour. First, Bill Clinton said this.
And then the people are out there busting it, sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world.
Well, now more Democrats are blasting Obamacare, so who's the right candidate to fix it? We've got a fair and balanced debate next.
And is there really a war on cops? The shocking new stats that prove our police are under fire.
Plus chaos in the courtroom.
Put your hands behind your back. Cases right now.
The judge who ripped off his robe, all of this to tame a defendant.
The people are out there busting it, sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world.
The reality is the Affordable Care Act is no longer affordable to increasing numbers of people.
So first it was former President Bill Clinton calling it crazy, and now more Democrats are piling on, including Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, saying Obamacare is a total disaster.
So who is the best candidate to fix it? Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? Here to weigh in, Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha and Kristen Tate from thelibertarianchick.com. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
So to begin, let's pull this up very quickly. First, let's take a look at Donald Trump's plan. And his plan, bottom line, you can see the details there. It is to repeal Obamacare. And then you take a look at Clinton's plan, and she wants to expand the Affordable Care Act, amongst some other things. So I will begin with you, Kristen. Which is the better fix?
Well, we need to privatize the system like Trump wants to, but it looks at this point like Hillary's going to win in November, possibly by a landslide. And if she gets a Democrat-controlled Congress, we're going to see a push towards, as you were saying, a single-payer, government-paid system. It'll be a lot like Medicaid, kind of like the systems we see in Europe or Canada. And while, healthcare will be less expensive for the patient, the taxpayers are going to get a massive bill funded by more debt. And in the end, you have quality decrease and costs go up and access to benefits becomes tougher because of supply and demand. And you could have wait times for things like heart transplants for 3-4 years like you see in Canada.
It's so interesting, Chuck. First, you have President Bill Clinton saying this is the craziest thing in the world, and this is now falling on these small businesses. And now you have a Democratic governor saying, you know, the impact that it's had on my own state is not a good one. If it weren't for other headlines, this is what we would be talking about right now. This is what the voters are caring about.
And you're exactly right. And to remind everybody who's listening, if you want to change a bill, you got to go to Congress. You got to get Congress to vote for a bill. We're probably not going to see single payer anytime soon because there's going to be a Republican House and there's going to be at least 60 votes in the Senate. But what you do need to do is fix it and have little quirks to it, because 30 million new people have health care, and it has great things in it like pre-existing conditions. If your kid's 26 to stay on. But if you're a small businessman like me and you don't qualify for the subsidies, yes, my health care's went up. And the benefits aren't as good as they were when it first started, and that's
Chuck,
the problem.
Because you own a small business.
I do own a small business, and when Obamacare started, I was saving $100 a month on my insurance. Now, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, I'm paying $150 more a month, so my premiums have gone up, right? So that's the problem.
Well, so Chuck, who is it good for then?
You know, they're both going to say that they want to play around the edges, but politically what you said in the beginning is the most brilliant thing. We could be talking about this right now, we could be talking about WikiLeaks, but instead we're talking about whatever Donald Trump might have said or not said last night, and that's the problem. You know, I run political campaigns, and you're supposed to pay on your message, and there's a lot of fodder out there that he could take advantage of, but just not time.
Kristen, the Fox News polls, some new ones came out last night, and when it said, we asked this question, what should happen to the health care law? Now 49% of people say that you should repeal the law. Compare that to December 2014 when 58% said repeal the law. So how do you explain those numbers?
Well, look, it's still very unpopular, and you're seeing, like you were talking about before, Bill Clinton and other Democrats coming out and saying this is not working. They have to, because Americans realize this, and to not admit that is political suicide. Hillary Clinton is in a very tricky position right now because she can't turn her back on Obama. She needs to be loyal to him, but at the same time, she needs to admit in some way that Obamacare isn't working. And I also want to bring up the fact that Hillary Clinton in the past has said that she wants to expand Obamacare to illegal immigrants. If she does that, we're going to see the system get a lot more expensive and unstable.
And never really a full explanation as to how you're going to pay for it. So maybe we'll hit on that in the next debate.
I wouldn't even talk about President Obama's legacy, which is a whole nother conversation. Thanks to you both for getting up so early this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks, Kristen. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes after the top of the hour, and one of former President Bill Clinton's accusers slamming his wife's candidacy.
His wife is covering for him. No champion of women attacks the victims of sexual assaults and rapes.
And she's not done. Kathleen Willey's message for the mainstream media, that is coming up.
And a Fox Business alert, another airline experiencing a computer glitch. That's happening right now. You want to stick with us.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. First, the search for answers intensifies as an attempted bomb attack against police. The FBI now on the case, trying to figure out who left a backpack that was stuffed with explosives outside this police station. This was in Denver, Colorado, in a suburb there. That explosive was active, but it failed to detonate, thankfully. Police have not named a suspect.
Black Lives Matter, making it clear they are ready to declare war on cops. And after a year of unrest over racially charged police shootings, the threat of police ambushes is now more severe than ever. According to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, 14 deadly ambush attacks on police recorded this year alone, and one of the worst, an attack on officers protecting a Black Lives Matter rally in Dallas.
And now to a Fox Business alert for you. Flights delayed nationwide after a computer glitch at United Airlines.
Cheryl Casoni from our sister network Fox Business here with the latest on that. Cheryl, another glitch?
Yeah, another glitch, another computer glitch. This time it was the weight reporting system within the systems of United Airlines. There were a few cancellations, but many, many more delays. Long lines at airports overnight across the country. But the airline actually just giving us an update a little more than 2 hours ago. They tweeted this, and here's the tweet they put out. As of 3 a.m. Eastern Time, the system issue has been resolved. Any delayed flights are resuming, and we apologize again for the inconvenience. So hopefully things will smooth out today for United, guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm still trying to figure out if this involves actually one of my phones. It's a 7, but it's not a Note, and Samsung is offering a deal for people who are trading in phones, right?
Well, I was actually going to bring this to your attention. Any reports of the Note 7s, not the Note, that's the actual added recall, 1.9 million Note 7 phones here in the United States. They've actually expanded that recall. They've had 97 reports of overheating of the Note 7s here in the United States. And also, they're going to be giving credits to customers. So if you want to get another manufacturer's device like an iPhone, they'll give you a $25 bill credit towards that iPhone. They'll give you $100 though if you exchange for a different Samsung device. But anything with Note or 7 at this point, I think the phone is over. And as we reported earlier this week, Samsung is discontinuing the Galaxy Note 7 production completely. The phone's just going to be gone.
It's a disaster what's going on there.
Cost me a lot more than $25 or $100 though. I was
going to say, All right, so Netflix, apparently it's not cracked up to all they say. I love Netflix.
Yeah, and you might love it for TV shows like House of Cards or Orange is the New Black, Abby, but they're not really showing movies. And one analysis showing that the actual most popular movies that are out there via IMDb, like the most 250 most popular films, only 31 of those are actually on Netflix. That's a decrease of 12% from just 2 years ago. Some of the names you may know: Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, Back to the Future. But overall, Netflix has really lost a lot of agreements with movie companies and movie studios. So it's make or break really for their TV series at this point.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Mickey D's. They're bringing a favorite to some stores.
Yeah, they tried this out in Australia, and it was a huge hit, Mac Sauce. So McDonald's has filed to trademark the name Mac Sauce. Of course, that would be the sauce, we're assuming here, going on top of the Big Mac. They had tried this earlier this year in Australia. That actually were selling bottles of Mac Sauce, flew off the shelves. A lot of it ended up on eBay being auctioned off for even more money. So this may be a new revenue stream for McDonald's. You can have your own.
A Big Mac at home.
Yeah,
it's dangerous.
You can just mix up some ketchup and mayonnaise and relish.
Don't give away the secrets. No.
Sorry.
All right, Cheryl, good to see you this morning.
Thanks, guys.
Time is now 28 after the hour.
And 25 days until the election. Yep, Donald Trump hitting back at Hillary Clinton and the media.
Good morning. It is Friday, October 14th, and Donald Trump taking on new allegations, slamming Hillary Clinton and the media while making some accusations of his own.
These vicious claims about me are totally and absolutely false. And the Clintons know it, and they know it very well.
Plus, brand new Fox News polls are in. We are live in Washington.
And WikiLeaks at it again. The brand new document dump revealing just how much Hillary Clinton's campaign worried about her talking to the press and how much she hates saying sorry.
And Hillary Clinton working overtime to prove she's just like you.
It makes you want to unplug the internet or just look at cat gifs. In the last few weeks, I've watched a lot of cats do a lot of weird and interesting things.
But wait until how you see how that just backfired. Fox and Friends First continues right now.
Good morning to you. It is Friday. That means that you finally made it to the weekend. And of course, you're watching Fox and Friends First. Thanks so much. I'm Heather Childers.
Good morning. I'm Abby Huntsman. Happy Friday to all of you. It's currently 32 after the hour. And we do want to get straight to the race for the White House and outright lies. Donald Trump railing against the New York Times, blaming the Clintons and the media for fabricating stories.
But with just 25 days until the election, could the damage already be done? Garrett Tenney joins us live from Washington with some brand new Fox News polls, and these were taken after the debate, right?
After the second presidential debate, and one thing that they make clear is that as of right now, Donald Trump has a lot of work to do between now and Election Day. It's not so much that Hillary Clinton is gaining support, rather it's that Donald Trump is losing it. In the latest Fox News polls, which were done after the second presidential debate, Trump is down 4 points from where he was a week ago. Clinton now holds a 7-point lead in the race. There are still 25 days to go, though, and as we've seen this election, it's not a stretch to say almost anything can happen. Yesterday in West Palm Beach, Florida, Donald Trump took on the string of sexual allegations that have come out against him in recent days. He called his accusers horrible, horrible liars and said the mainstream media is set on helping Hillary Clinton win this election at any cost.
The slander and libels that was just last night thrown at me by the Clinton machine and the New York Times and other media outlets as part of a concerted, coordinated, and vicious attack. It's not coincidence that these attacks come at the exact same moment and all together at the same time as WikiLeaks releases documents exposing the massive international corruption of the Clinton machine.
Yesterday, lawyers for the New York Times responded to the Trump campaign's threat of a lawsuit over the paper's story on 2 of the women accusing Trump of touching them inappropriately. Lawyers for the Times wrote in part, "The essence of a libel claim, of course, is the protection of one's reputation. Nothing in our article has had the slightest effect on the reputation that Mr. Trump, through his own words and actions, has already created for himself." We should point out, though, Donald Trump maintains that all of the claims against him are false and that he will prove it sometime soon.
We'll see when that happens.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Garrett, but let's get back to some of those Fox News polls. The big takeaway is Trump seeing a big dip in the numbers, but how much of it has to do with that Access Hollywood video?
Well, it certainly seems to have played at least some small part in that dip. Likely voters were pretty split over the Access Hollywood video. 48%, though, said it was a deal breaker. The other 48% said no big deal. What's unclear is how many of those that said it was a deal breaker were actually undecided already. When it comes to independents, though, Trump is down 4 points from where he was a week ago among independents. The silver lining here is that despite that, he's still tied with Hillary Clinton at 35 apiece.
Yeah, Chris Steyerwalt had a piece on FoxNews.com, and he said, you know, it's an independent vote that wins elections. So we'll see.
Swing states, it certainly does. Thank you, Garrett.
You got it.
All right, WikiLeaks continuing its streak, releasing nearly 2,000 more emails from inside Hillary Clinton's campaign showing how she has a hard time apologizing. Patricia Stark is in studio to break all of it down. Patricia, good morning.
Good morning, Abby and Heather. The latest WikiLeaks email dump embarrassing Hillary Clinton's inner circle once again. One email showing infighting between Clinton's campaign chairman John Podesta and Clinton Foundation employee Sidney Blumenthal, who had controversial access to Clinton while she was Secretary of State. Podesta saying, quote, "Sid is lost in his own web of conspiracies. I pay zero attention to what he says." Her campaign also appears to struggle with how Clinton should apologize for her private email server after offering a partial apology on NBC. Quote, "Everyone wants her to apologize, and she should apologize, but apologies are like her Achilles heel." Then, in a more shocking revelation, Clinton's campaign blatantly admitting the Iran nuclear deal was a bad idea, even predicting nuclear war. Her campaign quoting Illinois Senator Mark Kirk saying, quote, "This agreement condemns the next generation to cleaning up a nuclear war in the Persian Gulf. This is the greatest appeasement since Chamberlain gave Czechoslovakia to Hitler." To which Podesta replied, "Yup." Well, there is plenty more where those came from. WikiLeaks promising to release at least 40,000 more emails by Election Day. Ladies, back to you.
All that on top of what was released, what she had to say, or some of her people had to say about evangelicals and Catholics.
There's a lot in there. Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you.
Well, one of Bill Clinton's accusers unleashing a strong message for the media, Kathleen Willey, tells our Sean Hannity that her name continues to be smeared while Hillary Clinton covers for her husband.
Everybody in the mainstream press is calling all of Bill Clinton's crimes infidelities. Rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment are not infidelities. They are crimes and they are misdemeanors. His wife is covering for him. No champion of women attacks the victims of sexual assaults and rapes.
Willie claims Bill Clinton groped and kissed her during a private meeting in 1993 while she was a volunteer at the White House.
And a fury online after Texas police officers are reprimanded for wearing Donald Trump hats. Now, we reported on this a couple of days ago, and we have got your fiery comments.
Yeah, Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7. Sirius XM 115 is here with the highlights. So a lot of people have some comments about this.
That's right. And good morning, ladies. Earlier this week, like you said, Fox and Friends First reported that over a dozen San Antonio police officers will face punishment for wearing Make America Great Again hats. So we asked viewers to weigh in on Facebook, and the response was massive. Dare I say huge. It's now one of the most commented stories we've ever had. Here's what a few viewers had to say. Dave says, this can't be a real statement. What happened to freedom of speech? They should be allowed to vote for whomever they want to. And Jeff says, despicable. So if Mr. QB can slam and disrespect the national anthem on the job and go after law enforcement, why can't these officers wear Trump hats? His hypocrisy is astounding. Well, the San Antonio police chief says the officers displayed poor judgment by giving the appearance of endorsing a candidate while on duty. And Hillary Clinton is sparking a catfight on the campaign trail. The Democratic nominee was speaking at a fundraiser in San Francisco yesterday when she said this about Donald Trump's campaign signs.
It makes you want to unplug the internet or just look at cat gifs. In the last few weeks, I've watched a lot of cats do a lot of weird and interesting things.
Of course, folks on social media had a field day with this one. Mammoth tweeted out this adorable photo, writing, does Hillary have a submission form on her website where we can send her our favorite cat gifts, or are we supposed to tweet them at her? And Easel tweeted at Hillary Clinton, writing, do you have cat gifts that you're hiding from the American public? If so, when do you plan on releasing those gifts? And at Shop Mama got creative with this picture, writing, Hillary deleted emails and staring at cat gifts. Or GIFs. Jury's still out on the pronunciation of that word. But maybe that's in some of the other emails that have not been leaked out yet. That's a good point.
The campaign has gotten a little bit catty, so it fits.
Well, very good.
Thanks, Carly.
A plus.
Thank you. Well, the time now is about 20 minutes until the top of the hour. And our very own Chris Wallace, we're excited about this. He will moderate the final debate. So what does he expect? A preview from him is up next.
And is it too late to nominate another candidate? Democrats with some buyer's remorse. That's next.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. Yes, you read that correctly. 25 days until the election, and some voters, they're more undecided than ever. According to Google Trends, searches for write-in candidates have spiked more than 2,800% in just the last week. That is the highest it's been since 2004. Of the top three searches coming from solid Democratic states, Vermont, Delaware, and New Jersey.
Can't believe that. 25 days. All right, we are just a few days away from the final presidential debate, and our own Chris Wallace will be moderating. We're so excited about this. The first time that a Fox News anchor will moderate a general election debate, and Howard Kurtz has a preview. Take a look.
Good morning. With Donald Trump facing mounting accusations in the press of groping women and Hillary Clinton facing daily disclosures from hacked emails released by WikiLeaks, the candidates have one final shot at making their case to a mass audience. Next Wednesday in Las Vegas, they'll face off against each other and Chris Wallace. The Fox News Sunday anchor now has to deal with not just policy issues, but allegations of sexual assault against both the GOP nominee and the Democratic nominee's husband. And then there's the Trump factor.
You haven't seen anything like this.
No, because I've never seen a candidate like Donald Trump. That's what makes this so fascinating, and it's what's made the debates, and you know this from the three that we did, so challenging.
This marks the first time the Commission on Presidential Debates has tapped a Fox journalist for the general election. Wallace, widely viewed as one of the best interviewers in the business, had a successful career at NBC and ABC, from White House correspondent to Meet the Press moderator, before joining Fox 13 years ago. And like his late father, Mike Wallace, he favors a blunt style of questioning. Wallace caused a stir by saying he doesn't view his role in a presidential debate as that of a fact checker, but adds that he'll step in with follow-ups when necessary. In these hyper-partisan times, every moderator this fall has placed plenty of criticism. The larger challenge for Trump and Clinton is how to handle each other's increasingly harsh attacks and the new allegations about women and embarrassing emails. That means Vegas will be one final roll of the dice. Back to you, Heather and Abby.
Yeah, like that.
Well said.
Yeah.
Amazing career he's had, though.
Yes.
Fun to look back at that.
So, and good description that how he used their challenging. So let's check in with Steve Ducey to see what is coming up on Fox and Friends. I have a feeling you're going to talk about some of that.
And Mike Pence, Steve. We're excited about that one.
Exactly. The guy who would like to be our vice president, Mike Pence, is going to be live on the couch with us on this Friday morning. If you've got a question for him, I'm not talking about you, Abby and Heather, because you have questions, but if people out in TV land, email us, friends@foxnews.com, and we'll try to ask him one of them. Also, we've got Geraldo Rivera on with us because it is a Friday. Judge Janine, she's all fired up about what's going on with Donald Trump. And Guy Fieri, you know him from the TV show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Drive-Ins, Diners, and Dives, the 3D guy. He's got a brand new cookbook out. It is called Family Food. And we're going to have kind of a family feud here on the big show. Starts 12 minutes from right now, right here on the channel you trust for your morning news.
Love that. And it is
Guy Fieri.
Friday, so that's a good day for that segment. Thank you so much, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you.
And when we come back, what President Obama just said about Fox News. Uh-oh. Stick around for this one.
Stay with us.
10 minutes now at the top of the hour. All right, so he has not agreed to come on Fox and Friends in years, but President Obama just gave Fox News a shout out. The president mocking both Republicans and our channel as he campaigned for Hillary Clinton in Ohio. Listen.
In the swamp of crazy that has been fed over and over and over and over again. It's a whole kind of ecosystem. You know, and look, if I watched Fox News, I wouldn't vote for me.
Oh, so nice of him. The president also said Republicans had been feeding their base all kinds of crazy for years just to win some votes. Heather?
All right. Well, after that, one of the hottest shows on TV right now, Gotham, is back for a third season. So let's step into the Fox light with Fox Senior VP of Marketing, Michael Tamaro, who sat down with some of the cast members. How you doing this morning?
I did. Good morning. That's right. I sat down with two of the actors who gave me the inside scoop of what it's like to play the part of a villain. Your show, Gotham, where do we pick up in season 3?
Well, we fast-forwarded about 6 months. Mm-hmm. I personally am still in Arkham Asylum.
So, we've all been there.
He's the one that has the action.
When we ended season 2, he had his run-in with Fish Mooney. She's basically running amok in Gotham City. They can't exist in the same city together. It's impossible. Like,
yeah.
So he's afraid that she's coming for him. So it gives him purpose and something to focus on, which, you know, after everything that happened to him last year is exactly what he needed. Make your next decision very carefully.
What has surprised you most in terms of the development over the course of the last couple of seasons?
They really embodied all the qualities that Ed thought was outside of himself, all these darker personality traits. This person was outside of myself telling me that I could do these things. You know, and then learning to embrace that that person is me, yeah, and becoming whole because of that.
Whenever I think the character can't get any more complex, a new story comes in that just, like, you know, blows my mind open, and it changes some of my, you know, some of my preconceptions about the character, yeah. You know, and so I'm like discovering it just as everyone else is.
You can catch new episodes of Gotham on Monday nights only on Fox, and check out foxnewsmagazine.com for more of my celebrity interviews, or follow me on Twitter and Instagram at FoxLightMike.
See, I was going to compliment your black t-shirt and your black pants in the interview, but then I saw the picture. So.
There you go.
Yeah. So we should tune in for that one.
Absolutely.
Don't miss it.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.
And the time now is about 8 minutes until the top of the hour. We're not done yet. Mainstream media taking an aim at Donald Trump.
Journalism, in the sense that you grew up with and I grew up with, has totally collapsed. The stuff they've been doing recently on Trump, some of it is an absurdity, and it gets blown up.
Do you agree? Your email is pouring in on this one up next. Plus, chaos in the courtroom. Look at this judge just ripped off his robe. All that to tame a defendant.
Journalism, in the sense that you grew up with and I grew up with, has totally collapsed. The stuff they've been doing recently on Trump, some of it is an absurdity, and it gets blown up.
Newt Gingrich blasting the media for their biased coverage of Donald Trump. And your comments, of course, are pouring in on this one. Mark says he agrees. He says this is the beginning of an all-out offensive by the leftist media to destroy the Republican candidates, the likes of which has never been seen. It simply cannot continue with the evidence that has been brought before the American people. This election has become vile and potentially dangerous to America. And Chris tweets, yes, and colluding with President Obama to rig our election for Hillary dictatorship by elites. And we'll keep talking about this after the show. Log on to the Fox and Friends First Facebook page right after the show for a live debate. Hashtag keep talking.
Time now for the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the good. Hey, ISIS, you suck. That message sprawled across a billboard in South Florida. It was paid for by a group of Muslim American fathers who say they wanted to publicly shame that terror organization. Next, the bad. Talk about bad blood. Giants fans furious with Taylor Swift blaming her for a losing season. Ooh. Superstitious fans saying it's because their team's Super Bowl wins correspond with her album releases. And so far this year, her lips have been sealed. And finally, the ugly. Chaos in the courtroom. A judge taking off his robe to tackle an unruly criminal. Watch.
Put your hands behind your back. Change right now.
Yikes. That Michigan judge sentencing the man to jail, then having to step in when he refused to be handcuffed. It's rough.
Yeah. So next week, big debate. Yeah. Our very own Chris Wallace will be moderating it.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be the best one ever. Absolutely.
Watch it right here on the Fox News channel. And Fox and Friends starts right now.
Have a great weekend.
Happy Friday.
Bye.
Good morning to you and your family. You made it. It is Friday. It's October 14th. I'm Ainsley Earhart. Donald Trump is back on message and on the attack against the mainstream press.
The slander and libels that was just last night thrown at me by the Clinton machine and the New York Times and other media outlets as part of a concerted, coordinated, and vicious attack.
The crowd does not like that. Brand new, doesn't like the press. Brand new Fox polls on whether or not that message will make a difference.
Meanwhile, WikiLeaks drops another bomb in the Clinton campaign. Email showing from inside showing what you didn't know about the server scandal. Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton's special Energizer bunny friend.
And for the first time, Hillary Clinton testifies under oath about her secret email server, and wait till you hear the answers that she doesn't give. Here's a hint. They're all the same. Let me just remind you, it's Friday. Ainsley's very happy. So are you. And your mornings are better with friends.
No more days with Brian.
Steve, she has to be the happiest person on Friday.
Did you hear when she said no more bells, no more buzzers, no more alarms? It was kind of like you just had gotten the call from the governor. Yep, it's almost midnight.
I'm telling you, I'm grateful to have a job. I love my job. I love waking up with y'all every day. But you just need a break on the weekends. You just need no alarm clocks.
No, I know.
I want to meet the guy who came up. It had to be a man. He came up with weekends, and you only get 2 days.
Right,
you work for 5, and then you get a break for 2 days.
Yeah, I think people sing about that. I think there's a lot of country songs about weekends.
I'm sure there is.
Absolutely. Also, thank goodness for the man that came up with weekends.
I think.
No, I'm saying you should have made them longer.
Oh, okay.
I think a man, lover boy. Everybody's working for the weekends. Was that a boy?
Right.
That's a good one.
But then again,
by the way, my nickname.
Isn't it in the Bible about on the seventh day? Lover boy.
You should rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably had something to do with it. Just saying. Anyway, we've got a busy 3 hours, and then Ainsley can relax. And we're going to start with the race for the White House. Donald Trump getting back on message, and he has launched a blistering attack against the Clintons and the news media for just making stuff up about him.
But with just 25 days until the election, can the damage, is it already done, Brian?
Yeah, and can it be undone? Peter Ducey is live outside Trump Tower in New York City with brand new Fox News polls. Peter.
Right, and the polls might help us answer that question. Trump is still down just single digits to Hillary Clinton, but it's 7 points, the deficit in the latest Fox News poll. He trails 38-27 to 45. And since the last time that we took one of these Fox News polls, he has lost 4 points while Clinton has gained 1. So now Trump is spending a lot of time on the trail talking about how he thinks the Clinton machine is organizing all sorts of global mechanisms and media outlets against him.
They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. But I never knew, as bad as it would be, I never knew it would be this vile, that it would be this bad, that it would be this vicious.
In the home stretch of this election cycle, Trump is also trying to get back on message, trying to focus some more on the hallmarks of his campaign. Late last night, he tweeted, quote, Democratic governor of Minnesota just announced that the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, is no longer affordable. I've been saying this for years. Disaster. Trump is also talking yesterday about how what he describes as Hillary Clinton's radical position on immigration unleashed violent criminals on American streets, and he's promising separately to strengthen the United States by making it rich. And today he is going to hit another swing state, North Carolina. He will head there after a fundraiser early this morning in Midtown Manhattan. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Peter. And we're in Midtown Manhattan, too, so we're going to continue the story. So yesterday, Donald Trump was really on message. He said very clearly, it is no coincidence that these personal attacks are coming out at me at the same time that all this WikiLeaks stuff is being dumped out. It's all, and he says these women are liars, part of the Clinton machine. They never press charges. There is no proof. There are no witnesses. This is what he is saying. And so what he's saying is, essentially, do you believe the press? And you know what? A lot of people don't.
Well, one of the reporters, a People magazine reporter that 20-something years ago came by to interview him and claimed that he groped her when Melania, pregnant then, left the scene. Melania's suing, said it never happened. He says, and wants for an attraction. He said in particular, when it comes to this report, he says, you got to be kidding me. Why wouldn't you write that story? That would be the major story. We saw one of the editors of People magazine on last night. The question is, all these people are saying the same thing. He said, if it wasn't for Donald Trump bringing up his explanation for what happened on the bus with Billy Bush, we wouldn't have felt compelled to come out. Whether you buy that or not is the key.
Well, his supporters are not buying it. Yesterday, there was a huge rally in Cincinnati, and he talked about the press corps walks out because he has this big group of media people that follow him around. Right. So they walk out, and the audience boos them. Listen to this.
Yeah, that's the travel pool. I've been there when they walk out like that.
A little scary, to be honest. That is very.
Well, the crowd just doesn't like the reaction that Donald Trump is getting in the press. He said yesterday, he made it very clear, the press is colluding with Hillary Clinton to orchestrate what he called the single greatest pile-on in history. And when you look at the mainstream media coverage of this versus all the news in the rest of the world, it is staggering.
Look at that. All right, so look at ABC News. They talked about Trump scandals for 9 minutes. WikiLeaks, Hillary scandal, 30 seconds. NBC, 9 minutes on Trump, no mention of WikiLeaks on NBC. And then CBS, 5 minutes on Trump, 26 seconds on WikiLeaks. And Donald Trump says the mainstream media no longer conducts journalism.
And if you think about it, so many times these elections decide what's happening in the world, and so many things are happening in the world that should be going Donald Trump's direction. Remember when he talked about strong borders and it gave his campaign essentially rocket fuel and rocketed past 16 other people? It turns out Hillary Clinton won't say this publicly, but she's for it flat out open borders. Remember when he talked about a Muslim ban temporarily until we find out what the hell is going on? France, that cultured country, comes forward and says, we have a huge Muslim problem, and the person who said, welcome all refugees, said, I made a huge mistake. These are just some of the issues that have come back to Donald Trump's direction, but is being smothered by what's happening with these women coming forward. Newt Gingrich last night blames the media.
Journalism, in the sense that you grew up with and I grew up with, has totally collapsed. And I think the New York Times candidly has been the leader in its collapse. Because the New York Times at one time, even if it was left-wing with Castro and with Stalin in the 30s, it was nonetheless a place that had very serious reporting. The stuff they've been doing recently on Trump, some of it is an absurdity, and it gets blown up.
When you think about those two major newscasts did 9 minutes each on Trump and a few seconds on WikiLeaks, you know, there could be a typhoon that kills 250,000 people, and they'll do 3 minutes. To do 9 minutes, it is extraordinary, and it you know what? It buttresses what he's saying. He says the mainstream media are out to get him.
Look, I understand in life, we understand it every day. We look at on every magazine in the supermarket, sex sells. You know, the Kardashians, the Paris Hiltons. We understand that. That's what people look for. That's why there's
sexier than WikiLeaks.
Yeah, that's sexier. I get that, but fundamentally, you cannot write a story and not bring up the fact that some of the revelations to emerge from WikiLeaks are devastating to any other campaign. When it comes out that you have this view of Catholics as a medieval religion, and the way the way they view on the inside, the way Catholics, 28% of the country, conduct their daily worship. Sure. That would be to cut a campaign out at its knees. No one writes about it.
If you look at the polls, evangelicals are still with Donald Trump, and they will say he's no angel, he's not running to be a pope or to be, you know, head of a church, but they believe that he is better for this country than she is because of WikiLeaks and because of the Supreme Court.
And just remember, the WikiLeaks stuff was dropping at the end of last week. And somebody at NBC News said, we've got to get that Billy Bush story out last Friday before the debate so that it could smother that. And then the hurricane came along, and nonetheless, they leaked it to the Washington Post. But, Brian, to your point, there's so much stuff going on in the very latest WikiLeaks dump, and what is it up to? About 10,000 email have come out so far. Some of the things include the scramble to craft and defend Hillary's server story. Brian Fallon, who's the spokesperson, said, look, we've got to deny at any cost that there was ever any classified stuff on it, even though there was.
Because he said it could make her look like she mishandled classified information.
All right, let's talk about Loretta Lynch. Remember, she got on the plane with Bill Clinton. In the emails, it says they talk about Hillary Clinton's cordial relationship with Loretta Lynch. There are also concerns over reports about Bill Clinton's Energizer. That is the nickname the Secret Service allegedly gave to a woman who comes frequently into Chappaqua. Was he indeed having another affair right underneath Hillary's nose?
And then people say the food stamps have been up since Obama's administration. These emails reveal new leaked speeches claim more food stamps will fix the economy.
Hillary Clinton actually said that's one thing she tells Wall Street, that more food stamps is going to fix the economy. Is that the economic mind that you want us bringing out of this prolonged, seemingly malaise or semi-recession? So that's the question. I sense that every 1,200 emails, the intensity is going to pick up about the revelations contained. There's someone conducting. I'm not comfortable with an outside organization infiltrating into our election process, but no one's really saying that these are not correct and accurate.
What the mainstream media is doing is they're trying to make the final 25 days focus not on policy but on character, and they're trying to make Donald Trump seem worse than Hillary Clinton. When you look, Brian, to your earlier point, when you look at policy and you look at issues, there are a lot of things that Donald Trump is pushing that people really like. And so rather than talk about that, they want to talk about this noise.
I just wish we could book Vice President's nominee Mike Pence.
Hold on a second.
What? We did.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you have?
I just got
Thanks,
an Uber.
I appreciate it. You just got an Uber
booker.
Fantastic.
Mike Pence is going to be with us at 7:30 Eastern time right here.
All right, let's hand it over to Heather, who has some more headlines for you. Hey, Heather.
I certainly do. Good morning.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We are all happy that Friday is here and hope you are off to a good day, but a little bit of concerns for United Airlines passengers, and this is a Fox News alert. United Airlines suffers a massive computer glitch overnight, stranding passengers and forcing others to wait hours and hours as agents manually write tickets. United saying just a small number of flights were impacted, mainly along the West Coast. And by 3 a.m., the airline tweeting that the issue had been resolved and that flights are returning to normal, but you might want to double check with your carrier flying this morning. Hurricane Nicole barreling through Bermuda, bringing 120-mile-per-hour winds and dangerous storm surges. That island, so tiny, it's smaller than the eye of that Category 3 storm. Imagine that. The hurricane knocking out power to 90% of the island at one point. And check out this incredible video of the eye wall approaching the